content is for educational purposes only, drawing from our professional and educational experiences and opinions. Please use this information at your own personal or professional discretion. We are not liable for anything you do with this information.
Good evening. Welcome to Ask the Lady Electrical Inspector podcast. I am your host, Tabitha L. In tonight's episode, we will take a closer look at the requirements of the National Electrical Code regarding the listing and labeling of electrical equipment. We will discuss why nationally recognized, listed, and labeled electrical equipment is so important when it comes to passing an electrical inspection. I will highlight examples of common electrical devices that frequently fail inspections and explain what inspectors look for when evaluating this equipment. Most importantly, I will share practical strategies you can use to identify potential compliance issues before the equipment arrives on the construction site, helping electrical contractors, installers, and project teams avoid costly delays, corrections, and failed inspections. Also, I will share a few real experiences from the field highlighting issues I have encountered during electrical inspections and offering practical tips to help electrical contractors avoid costly mistakes. My goal is to provide valuable safety information that will help you better understand electrical code requirements, save time and money, and reduce the likelihood of failed inspections, project delays, and additional costs associated with a field evaluation. By understanding the requirements before electrical equipment reach the job site, you can address potential compliance issues early and help ensure your project stays safe, compliant, and on schedule. Let's get started and talk about what you need to know about listed and labeled electrical equipment and why it matters. Whether you're performing electrical work in an office building, a hotel, school, restaurant, hospital, dental office, a movie theater, beauty salon, strip malls, or looking to expand your knowledge of the electrical safety, this episode is for you. Have you ever wondered why pre-assembled electrical equipment or furniture can frequently fail electrical inspection and what you can do to make sure your installation passes electrical inspection the first time? This episode is for you. Listen up, because we're going to cover practical insight and real-life lessons that can help prevent costly mistakes, project delays, and, of course, failed inspections. Have you ever reached the end of a construction project only to discover that the owner, not the electrical contractor, will be purchasing and supplying the electrical equipment? Then the equipment arrives at the job site and you notice that something is missing. There's no overall listing label, certification mark, or other recognized approved markings on the electrical equipment. What does that mean for the electrical contractor? How could this situation have been prevented? And most importantly, could it delay the project? Unfortunately, this is not a small mistake. When electrical equipment is installed without the required listing and labeling, correcting the problem can become extremely costly. It can result in failed inspections, additional labor, replacement of the equipment, and unnecessary construction delays. What is a nationally recognized testing laboratory? A nationally recognized testing laboratory is a private organization recognized by OSHA to test and certify equipment types of products and equipment for workplace safety. The nationally recognized testing laboratory program was established by the Occupational Safety and Health Administration in 1988, with the first NRTL recognized in 1989. In simple terms, a nationally recognized testing laboratory makes sure that the covered electrical and other safety related equipment meets established safety standards before it is used in the workplace. What an nationally recognized testing laboratory must be able to do. An OSHA recognized NRTL must test and evaluate products to determine whether they meet applicable safety standards. They must certify products that meet these standards. They must identify certified products and perform follow-up inspections to make sure production continues to meet the requirements. They must remain independent of both the employer using the equipment and the manufacturers or the sellers of the products. They must document test results and have procedures for handling complaints and disputes. They must demonstrate competence as both a product safety testing laboratory and a product certification organization. The requirements for a nationally recognized testing laboratories are established in 29 CF, Code of Federal Regulations 1910.17. In short, a nationally recognized testing laboratory is an independent, OSHA recognized organization that verifies certain products are safe and complies with applicable consensus-based safety standards for the workplace use. Why listing and labeling matters. The National Electrical Code requires certain electrical equipment to be listed and labeled where applicable. In simple terms, this means that the equipment has been evaluated by an approved testing organization to demonstrate it meets applicable safety and performance requirements. Organizations such as Underwriters Laboratory, commonly known as UL, and Intertech, which provides the ETL certification marks, are examples of organizations that evaluate and certify electrical products. The listing and labeling of electrical equipment are important because the authority having jurisdiction relies on these markings and the associated documentations when evaluating an installation. There's another important part of this equation. The equipment must be installed and used in accordance with its listing, labeling, and manufacturer's instructions. In other words, having a certification mark on the equipment is not the end of the story. The installation must also comply with the applicable requirements and the manufacturer's instructions. So before that pre-assembled electrical equipment or piece of electrical furniture arrives at the job site, ask the right questions. Is the equipment listed? Is it properly labeled? Is the listing appropriate for its intended use? And does the manufacturer provide the installation instructions and documentation needed for the authority having jurisdiction to approve it? Addressing these questions early before the equipment is delivered and installed can help prevent expensive corrections and keep your project moving forward. What does listed mean? When electrical equipment is listed, it generally means that an approved testing laboratory has evaluated the product for specific safety and performance requirements. The equipment is included in the testing organization recognized listing and is intended to be suitable for the use identified by that listing. What does labeled mean? Labeled means the equipment bears an identifying mark, symbol, or label from the organization responsible for evaluating or certifying the product. That marking provides important information about the product and helps establish that it has been evaluated for a particular purpose or application. A complete assembly label means that a group of electrical parts is tested, certified, and rated as one single unit. A complete assembly label indicates that a group of electrical components has been tested, certified, and rated as a single unit. The components must not be altered, mixed, or substituted with other brands. The entire system must be installed and operated exactly as the manufacturer intended. It signifies that the entire system has been tested collectively. Laboratory evaluated the complete assembly, not individual parts. All internal components are designed to interact safely together. Modifying or opening the system may compromise its safety rating. This label is significant for compliance purposes. Inspectors rely on it to approve your building setup. Using only parts from the same manufacturer is required for repairs. The manufacturers guarantee the entire system, not just individual components. Addressing unlisted, pre-wired electrical equipment that arrives on the job site. One of the most difficult situations for an electrical contractor is discovering that a pre-wired electrical equipment has already been delivered to the job site without the listing, labeling, certification documents necessary for approval. When this occurs, the electrical contractor must address the issue before the project will be given an occupancy or a final inspection. Depending on the equipment, the authority having jurisdiction may offer two potential paths towards compliance. Option 1, a field evaluation. One potential solution is to obtain a field evaluation from a qualified organization, including a nationally recognized testing laboratory. For example, a field evaluator may examine a pre-wired equipment or other factory-built assemblies at the job site. The evaluation may include examination of internal wiring, electrical components, junction boxes and enclosures, connection and splices, grounding and bonding, circuit protection, conductor sizing and strain relief, mechanical protection, required markings and identification, compliance with applicable product safety requirements. If the equipment satisfies the applicable evaluation requirements, the evaluator may provide field evaluation documentation or labeling in accordance with its procedures. A field evaluation should not be assumed to be an automatic certification of any equipment. The authority having jurisdiction requirements determine whether a field evaluation is appropriate and acceptable. Option 2, reconfigure the equipment for field wiring. A second potential approach may be available when the equipment is designed to permit field wiring. For example, some equipment may have an open rear section, accessible junction boxes, or a designated field wiring component or compartment. In such cases, a qualified electrical contractor may be able to complete the final electrical connections using an approved wiring method rather than relying on an unevaluated factory installed configuration. This approach must be evaluated carefully. The electrical contractor should verify that the equipment is designed to permit field wiring, that the manufacturer's instructions allow the proposed installation, that the appropriate wiring method is being used, and that required junction boxes and enclosures are properly installed, that the conductors are properly sized and protected, and the grounding and bonding requirements are satisfied, and that the circuit protection is appropriate, that the complete installation complies with the applicable electrical requirements. Most importantly, the proposed method should be coordinated with the authority having jurisdiction before the work is performed. A field modification may also affect existing product certification, so the manufacturer's requirements and certification limitations must be considered. Preventing inspection problems before they occur. As the authority having jurisdiction, I have inspected countless electrical inspections in which equipment arrived at the job site without the listing, labeling, documentation, or installation information necessary for approval. This recurring problem can result in failed electrical inspections, project delays, additional labor costs, equipment substitutions and rework, schedule disruptions, frustration among the owners and the contractors and the suppliers. These situations have occurred across a wide range of commercial projects, including office buildings, hotels, schools and auditoriums, hospitals, dental offices, movie theaters, beauty salons and medical spas, retail facilities, and other commercial and institutional buildings. In many cases, the equipment itself may appear well manufactured and suitable for the intended application. The individual electrical components may even carry recognized certification marks. However, the complete product may lack the appropriate evaluation, labeling, documentation, or installation provisions required for approval. The problem is often not that the equipment is inherently unsafe. The electrical contractor cannot verify if the finished product was evaluated, what configuration was certified, and how it must be installed, and what limitations apply to field modifications. The importance of early electrical contractors' involvement. Electrical compliance should not begin when the inspector arrives at the project. It should begin during the design, the equipment selection, and the purchasing. One of the most effective ways to prevent these problems is to involve the electrical contractor before electrical equipment is selected and purchased. The electrical contractor brings practical knowledge of the electrical installation requirements, applicable codes and product listing, wiring methods and circuit protection and inspection procedure knowledge. This experience can help identify potential problems before the equipment is ordered. Before purchasing custom or factory-built electrical equipment, the electrical contractor should have an opportunity to review the product listing and certification information, the manufacturer's documentation, model and catalog number, potential field evaluation requirements. This review is particularly important for equipment that contains factory installed electrical components. Examples of some of these components includes hotel headboards, commercial furniture, modular workstations, custom gym lockers, retail kiosks, illuminated display cases, auditorium seating, mobile kitchens, prefab buildings, and custom cabinetry, specialized commercial equipment. These are real examples in which the authority having jurisdiction encountered electrical equipment incorporated into furniture, fixtures, and prefabricated assemblies that was subsequently rejected because the individual electrical components were listed separately rather than being evaluated and listed as a complete assembly. In many of these cases, furniture or equipment arrives pre-wired with lighting, receptacle, USB ports, adjustable devices, motors, or other electrical components. Although the individual components carry separate listings, these listings did not necessarily address the safety of the complete assembly, including its internal wiring, connections, mechanical integrations, strain relief enclosures, or grounding, and installation methods. For commercial furnishing, incorporating integrated electrical equipment, the complete assembly may require evaluation and certification as a system. UL 962, Standard for Household and Commercial Furnishing, provides a relevant framework for evaluating furnishings that incorporate electrical components. Applicable NEC requirements and the authority having jurisdiction adopted codes and interpretations must also be considered. Office furniture and workstation. Examples of commercial furniture requiring attention that arrive on the job site not listed. Modular workstations and cubicles, reception desks and professional greeting stations, visitor seating and waiting room area furniture, sofas and side tables, reading material display units, dining area and seating used for meals and meetings, conference tables, adjustable desks with integrated electrical power, private phone booths, and communication pods. These assemblies may include factory installed lighting, receptacle, USB ports, power supplies, adjustable mechanisms, and associated wiring. A critical concern is that the individual components may be listed independently while the complete furniture assembly has not been evaluated as a complete electrical system. The authority having jurisdiction, therefore, will reject the installation if the overall assembly does not have the required certification or field evaluations. In other cases, in hotel furnitures and headboards. Hotel installations provide another significant example. One configuration involves pre-wired king and queen headboards and constructed from foam, wood, padded foam, and mounted to walls using hanger-type supports. The headboard incorporates built-in nightstands with drawers, shelving, lighting, receptacles, plug-and-play sconce lights, internal wiring, and connections. The electrical components may each have individual listings. However, the complete headboard assembly must be evaluated with consideration for how the components are wired, enclosed, supported, and integrated into the furniture. The nightstands may similarly contain receptacles, USB charging ports, and separate listings for those devices do not necessarily establish that the internal wiring, connection, and the construction and complete furniture assembly have been evaluated as a cohesive system. So the potential concerns have been noted that the conductor gauges and ampacity sizes were incorrect, the wiring routing was insignificant, the strain relief, splices and terminations, the junction boxing enclosures, and the heat accumulations, separation from the foam, fabric, wood, and other materials, accessibility for the electrical connections, and protection of the wiring from mechanical damages. Electrical connections concealed behind foam, fabric, wood can create additional fire and overheating concerns if they are not installed within appropriately approved enclosures. Cords or electrical connections concealed behind furniture may create installation and inspection issues if the furniture effectively substituted for permanent building wiring without the appropriate evaluation and certification. Failure to obtain the appropriate overall safety certification results in the rejection by the local authority having jurisdiction. Food service equipment and salad bar equipment. This installation included a salad bar installation provides another example of the need to evaluate the complete electrical assembly. This equipment consists of multiple listed cooler units mounted around the perimeter of the bar. Chilled air was distributed throughout the openings in the countertop with metal plates used to cover the opening for the food safety. LED light strips were installed beneath the sneeze guards, while the refrigeration system incorporated a remote compressor mounted on the roof. So the refrigeration control wiring, the speaker wire used to connect the temperature control to the refrigeration solenoid is not appropriate and substituted for wiring methods required for the application. The wiring should include use of appropriately listed wiring methods, such as MC cable and compatible fittings were permitted. These are some of the things that were found in the cooler. Also, equipment markings. The equipment should have visible, durable markings identifying applicable information, including the manufacturer, the model number, the input voltage, the current, the phase, frequency, total load, current, as mentioned, required warnings, and disconnect locations. Where applicable, a listed Class 2 LED driver may be used with appropriate overcurrent protection, fusing, wiring, and installation methods. Next on the list is dental equipment. Power Dental chairs and associated equipment should be evaluated and appropriately certified for electrical safety. A nationally recognized testing laboratory, where required by the applicable jurisdiction, provide verification that the equipment has been evaluated against relevant safety requirements. The electrical wiring installed within the dental cabinetry and associated fixtures should likewise comply with applicable listing, wiring, enclosures, grounding, and installation requirements. Next is entertainment venues and theaters, school auditorium seating. Theater and entertainment seating may incorporate electrical systems directly into the armrest or other furniture components. Examples include seating with LED lighting, incandescent lighting, low voltage wiring, integrated electrical parts, adjustable parts. Potential deficiency included inadequate labeling, insufficient separation between the conductors and operating at different voltage levels, and missing strain relief for low voltage wiring. The electrical conductors should have been routed separate, secured, and protected in accordance with the applicable standards and the listing requirements. The recurring issues across these examples is the distinction between listing individual components and evaluating complete finished assemblies. A receptacle, LED driver, power supply, switch motor, USB charger, or other electrical components may individually carry an acceptable listing. That listing, however, does not automatically demonstrate that the component is safe when incorporated within a particular piece of furniture, a kiosk, a headboard, workstation, lockers, or other commercial assemblies. The complete assembly must be evaluated with respects to its electrical construction and the intended use. The manufacturers and designers should determine the applicable product standards and the NEC requirements at the design stage. Where required, the complete assembly should receive appropriate third-party certification or field evaluations rather than relying solely on the listing of its individual components. This approach helps prevent costly field modifications, installation delays, and rejections by the authority having jurisdiction. The purpose of this process is not simply to make an inspector's job easier. It is to promote better communication among everyone involved in the project. Successful electrical installations require coordination amongst the owners, the architects and the engineers, general contractors, electrical contractors, and the authority having jurisdiction. When these parties communicate early, potential compliance issues can often be identified while changes are still relatively inexpensive. When discovering a listed or certification problem after hundreds of units have been manufactured and delivered can create substantial costs and delays. Unlisted or inadequately documented pre-wired electrical equipment can create significant challenges when it reaches the job site. When a problem is identified, the electrical contractor should not assume that simply connecting the equipment to the building electrical system will make it compliant. The appropriate solution depends on the equipment, the manufacturer's requirement, available certification options, and the authority having jurisdiction determinations. A field evaluation may provide one potential path when appropriate. In other situations, equipment may be capable of being properly configured for field wiring by a qualified electrical contractor. The most effective solution, however, is to prevent the problem before the equipment is purchased. Involve the electrical contractor early. Review the product listing and certification information. Confirm the installation requirements. Verify the equipment markings and documentation, and coordinate unusual or custom equipment with the authority having jurisdiction when necessary. A small amount of planning during procurement can prevent failed inspections, costly rework, project delays, and unnecessary frustration when the time comes for the electrical inspection. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Ask the Lady Electrical Inspector. In future episodes, we will continue discussing real electrical issues, common inspection challenges, code requirements, and practical solutions from both the electrical contractor and the electrical inspector's perspective. Be sure to follow Ask the Lady Electrical Inspector on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and your favorite social media platform. If you have a question, a topic suggestion, or would like to be considered as a future guest, I would love to hear from you. Your ideas may inspire an upcoming episode. Until next time, stay safe, stay professional, keep learning, and remember, electrical safety is everyone's responsibility. Good night.